In the distance, a figure began to take shape, neither walking nor gliding, but becoming, as if summoned by the nothingness itself. The woman's form shimmered with a faint, translucent glow, her outline blurred by the shadows she emerged from, as though the void itself hesitated to let her go. Her presence pressed against their senses. Not heavy, not loud, but impossible to ignore. Her eyes held no reflection, only depth. And when she spoke, her voice rippled through the air like wind across still water, soft, resonant, and irrefutable. "Please follow me," she said, turning gracefully to face the direction from which she had come. The humans hesitated at first, uncertainty flickering across their faces. But her voice lingered in their minds like a melody they could not forget, numbing their resistance. Something about her presence bypassed their will. No matter how hard they tried to resist, their bodies began to move, obedient, silent, compelled. Step by step, they followed her into the unknown. The walk stretched on in eerie silence. The air grew colder with each step, the wind sharper, needling through seams in their uniforms. Each footfall sank into a shifting white crust of snow that cracked faintly under their boots. Darkness faded to a haze of gray, where sky and ground blurred together. Above, the sun hung low and unmoving, casting no warmth, only long, distorted shadows that followed them like ghosts. None of them spoke. The sound of crunching snow and ragged breaths were the only reminders that they were still alive. After several minutes of trudging through the frozen emptiness, the woman turned to face them once more. "We have arrived," she said calmly, though something in her voice hinted at both mystery and menace. The humans looked around. The total darkness they had left behind had given way to a wild, inhospitable landscape. A world of jagged ice and wind-scoured peaks stretched in every direction. The cold bit into their flesh, and the wind lashed against them, stealing heat with every gust. Slowly, as if waking from a trance, they began to regain control of their limbs, just as the woman began to speak again. "In this ultimate battle for survival, only one species can emerge victorious," she said. "The stakes have never been higher. The last two remaining civilizations now face their final trial. One will ascend, the other will vanish." She walked among them. Her voice resonated with conviction. For the losing species, its legacy will be erased, its history forgotten, its name lost to the silence of the stars. But for the victor, the reward is beyond imagination, the chance to flourish, to thrive, to inherit a universe brimming with possibility. The desolate plain around them stretched endlessly, blanketed in snow, framed by towering mountains whose peaks vanished into frozen mist. It was beautiful in its cruelty. The soldiers trembled, not just from cold, but from the weight of what was now expected of them. "The traits most closely linked to success," the woman continued, "are endurance and persistence. The species that best embodies these will earn the right to continue. The weaker will fall." She stopped and turned her warm gaze upon them. Her eyes glowed faintly, flickering like embers behind ice. "You must walk without rest," she said. "The frigid air, the gnawing hunger, the despair clawing at your mind, these will be your only companions. Each step will feel like punishment, each hour a test." Her tone sharpened as she went on. "But death is not inevitable," she said. "It will claim only those who surrender, who welcome it. If you press forward, if you endure, it becomes just another obstacle. And like all obstacles, it can be overcome." She paused, letting the silence settle before continuing. "Remember this, the more of you who continue, the greater your chance of success. Every step matters, every breath pushes you closer to salvation. Your suffering will not be forgotten if you survive it." She turned slightly and raised her arm toward the horizon, where the pale sun hung just above the snow. "Follow the sun," she instructed. "It will never stop shining on your path. If you possess the necessary endurance, if you hold fast to your will, you will reach the end. But only one species will arrive first." She looked back at them, her voice lowering to a whisper that somehow carried through the howling wind. "And that species will be declared the winner." The soldiers listened in grim silence, their eyes fixed on the woman. They knew the path ahead would be grueling, that many of them might not survive. But they also knew they had no choice. They had to press on, endure the cold, and walk until they reached the end. Only through victory would they earn the right to continue living. Survival would not be granted. It had to be won. None of the humans spoke. Fear clouded their expressions, their bodies trembling from cold and uncertainty. Then, Sebastian broke the silence. "We know what we must do," he said. "This is the final challenge. After this, we return home. We need to gather our strength and keep moving. I believe in us, and I believe we will succeed." The others remained still, paralyzed by dread. But in that moment, Sebastian became their anchor. He didn't just speak, he led. As his gaze turned to the low-hanging sun, he began to walk, following its glint across the snow. And one by one, they followed. Every step cost them. Their feet sank half a meter into the snow, the frozen air burning in their lungs with each breath. Marching through the endless white, their bodies grew heavier, slower. Time lost meaning beneath the ever-present daylight. Hours passed, or perhaps days, as they trudged forward in silence. Their strength dwindled. Many were on the verge of collapse, but Sebastian would not let them fall. He reached into their minds and whispered commands, not words, but will. He anchored their bodies with his power, pushing them to move when every instinct screamed to stop. When one of them stumbled and fell, Sebastian compelled them to rise again. He too was tired, but he was stronger than most. His years of physical training had hardened him, and his old breathing problems no longer held him back. Each step, though painful, came easier to him. Dane, beside him, moved with similar resilience. Adrian, however, was barely holding on. His body sagged with every movement, his skin pale and drawn. He had long since stopped walking on his own. Two soldiers carried him on their shoulders, their movements subtly guided by Sebastian's mental touch. Sebastian had never wanted to dominate the minds of his closest friends, but this was the only way he could help Adrian now. They marched like this for what felt like forever. Their limbs moved through pure inertia. To stop was to die. Sebastian raised his eyes to the horizon, but the same white void stretched ahead, vast and merciless. The landscape behind them felt smaller than the endless stretch before. He stopped briefly to wait for Dane. "I don't think we'll make it," he said softly, his voice ragged with despair. Dane didn't respond at first. He simply rested a hand on Sebastian's shoulder and gave him a small, tired smile. Then they walked on, side by side, in silence. Suddenly, the mountains roared. The sound was unlike anything they had ever heard. Deep, primal, like the earth groaning in protest. The ground vibrated beneath their boots. Snow cracked, shifted, and then something gave way above them. A low rumble turned into a thunderous scream. They turned as one, eyes wide, hearts seizing in their chests. A single panicked voice shouted, "Run!" But it was already too late. A wall of white fury burst from the peaks, devouring the mountainside as it surged downward. The avalanche roared like 1,000 storms, the very air splitting from the force. The wind hit first, knocking them back, laced with ice so sharp it cut skin. The temperature dropped instantly. The breath ripped from their lungs. The sky disappeared. The sunlight vanished behind a cascade of snow that crashed like a tidal wave. The world narrowed to chaos, roaring wind, blinding white, snow slamming into their bodies like fists. Some screamed, others didn't have time. Sebastian felt himself lifted, weightless for a breathless instant, then slammed into the ground. Snow wrapped around him, forced itself into his mouth, his nose, his eyes. It packed into his ears and throat. His arms flailed, hitting nothing. There was no up, no down, only pressure. Crushing, suffocating pressure. His chest spasmed. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The avalanche buried them alive. And then, nothing. A silence so complete it rang in his ears. Darkness so total it felt wet. The world had gone still, as if time itself had frozen beneath the snow.